Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to this wonderful, fantastic morning. It is coffee time with Coach Ja. I am your host here in the building. I have an amazing guest today. We're gonna have a good time, good conversations. I started this morning off talking about happiness and what that means. And a lot of times we forget what that is. We're not paying attention to the little things that make us happy. What is happiness? And most of the time, we're too busy worrying about everything else that we have to do, forgetting that happiness is something that you have to achieve. That is part of life. Life is not about finding stress and holding on to that and all those things that make you feel like, oh, I'm not going to make it through this day. Life is about finding your happiness, finding your balance within whatever is going on in your life. And I think a lot of times, good morning, Jasmine. I think a lot of times we take that and put it on the back burner. And usually what you find on the back burner when you're cooking, right? All the stuff that you really like is on the front burners, and the stuff that you don't want, the vegetables on that little one in the back, the stuff that you really need, that's the one that's on the back burner. We have to stop putting our happiness on the back burner. It is so important to put the happiness on the front burner. The happiness has to be, your happiness is so important to everything in your life, well-being and everything. How you actually make it through the day depends on your level of happiness. So if you're happy, even when the rough things come in, you're still able to deal with it. Why? Because you decided that happiness was going to get you through. Happiness is going to get you through. So I want y'all to focus today on being happy. Find something to do. Buy a new cup of coffee that you haven't had. Go to Starbucks if you need to. Whatever it is you need to, get you that donut that you've been wanting all week. Damn that. Be happy for a minute, right? Don't eat the whole box. Don't eat the whole damn box. I said one donut and that's it, right? But find something that makes you happy. Call a friend, text a friend, just laugh for no reason. Like just bust out laughing. I guarantee you, if you do two things, if you hug yourself and you bust out laughing, I guarantee your mood will change. I guarantee something will happen and it will lighten up. All right. So try that. And then I want y'all to tell me about it. Send me a DM. Call me. No, don't call me because I probably don't want to talk a lot today. Send me a DM. Go on my DMs and tell me, listen, I hugged myself and I'm happier because I laughed. And then tell me what that felt like. Write it down, write a poem, whatever you need to do. I want you to do that today. One roll of Oreos is not too much, right? You know what, Juicy? Today, we're going to allow that one roll of Oreos. Just one roll, though. Not one roll and an extra cookie. Just one roll. All right. So anyway, man, let's bring our guest up here today because it's something that I definitely can't wait for her to share. And I'm sure she remembers what it is, but it's not. Don't worry about it. I'm going to bring it back to her memory later. But anyway, welcome to the show today, my friend Mandy. How are you?
Hey, how are you? Good.
I'm so
Good.
good. I'm so good. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm
Good.
good. It's a beautiful day. Well, I don't know if it's a beautiful day. It's still dark here. So waiting for that sun to come up and to experience that as well.
Now, where are you at now? Because I know you moved.
I did. I moved across the country to Washington State.
Washington.
Yeah.
And so Washington is like a long ways from North Carolina. That's
Yeah. Yeah. So I drove. So this summer I took a month and in the middle of COVID and just packed my belongings that were left in my car and took my time, drove across the country, took a month and got out here at the foot of Mount St. Helen and here I am. Just,
yeah.
living the dream.
So let's do this. So let's tell the people, tell them who you are, tell them what you do. Just let us get into your world. Tell us who you are. Let them
Okay,
know.
so I'm Mandy. I'm a teacher. I have not been teaching this year since I've moved out here and things are kind of crazy. There's no jobs in it currently. Um, but I am a lover of adventure. I grew up in Maine, New England, made my way to North Carolina via Colorado. And I just, love people, love new things, poetry, spoken word, hiking. Yeah, just people, love people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we met through a mutual friend. And I remember I posted something and you posted a letter. And I thought the letter was yours. And you went to a place where people actually leave letters in the mailbox or something.
Oh, kindred spirit.
Yes, please. Let's.
Oh my gosh. So yeah. Kindred Spirit is in Sunset Beach, North Carolina. You need to walk like a mile on the beach to get to this mailbox. And in this mailbox, there's all these journals, and you can read what the messages that other people left behind, and leave one of your own. And it's extremely powerful. It started, I don't remember when it started, but a man and his wife put it up, and they used to travel out every day and collect the journals. And he's gotten too old, so he can't do it anymore. But he has other people go and do it. When we were there, we met other people. And of course, walking on the beach in itself is just, how can you not be smiling?
Right.
So yeah, by the time we got there, it was a magical moment. And you mentioned, I was listening here, and you mentioned about love earlier. And for whatever reason, yeah, how the universe speaks to us sometimes, and we have these messages that come to us. Love was, I was with a friend, and that was a message that just kept coming to us over and over again. More so for her. For me, it was just kind of stopping and taking some time to just appreciate and enjoy what's around you, because I tend to go full steam ahead sometimes, so.
I tell you, when you told me that you were able to make the time and then come on the show, I was like, yes, because I definitely wanted to talk about that. I would like to see pen pals again, even if we know each other. Like, can you imagine all of the folks that we know, and we're writing letters? It means so much when you write a letter as opposed to typing it. Like, it changes the whole dynamics,
Absolutely. Well, in this summer, as I was going across the country, I think when I got to Carlsbad Caverns, I had 2 or 3 hours I needed to wait until it was my time to go into the caverns. And I'm like, what am I going to do? But I saw some postcards sitting there. So I bought 10 postcards, and I just sent them to random people. And from there, everywhere I stopped, I bought postcards and sent them out. So, I've found it's something I really enjoy, and I've had people send a few to me, and it's like, whoa, this is kind of cool. I like it. So, who doesn't like getting mail like that? So yeah, if nothing else, a postcard, you're writing 2 or 3 sentences, if even that. Take a minute to send one out wherever you are. Cause you think, Raleigh, North Carolina or whatever, it's not a big deal, but I'm like, I would love to get a postcard from Raleigh, North Carolina. So
I think we've forgotten the power in writing a letter and reading it. Or when you send a letter to somebody and it's like, I can't wait till they get this letter. I can't wait till they read this birthday card, whatever it is, right? Yeah. I think we lost that connection. And I think because we've become a society that's like so on demand. Like, I want instant, instant. And you had to it took a little bit for you to get the letter, depending where you were. I missed that. I missed that. And when I was thinking about it, I was like, I'm gonna say that today on the show, that we should start like a pen pal thingy.
Yeah. Well, then let me give you a few ways you guys can start. So as a teacher, one of the things I started my first year teaching, and I taught for 27 years, we called them goodwill cards. So every time around Thanksgiving time is when I would assign the assignment, and it took forever to do them, but just little cards that I gave the students, and they would write something they appreciated about everybody in their classroom and everybody they worked with. But I've also seen people, because I've shared it with everybody, expand it into writing letters to their family, and it's in the tree on Christmas morning or in stockings or something. Something else that can be done is, just writing those letters of appreciation, no matter how small they are, to somebody, because we also forget to tell people, hey, this is what you mean to me, beyond, oh, I love you. Okay, that's all well and good, but what does that mean? What does that look like? And, let that person know, hey, I like the way that you don't ever get upset with me when I interrupt all the time. Whatever it is, it's showing, yeah, you recognize me for me, and you're cool with it. So just lots of different ways to write, or sending a poem. But I know that one of my favorite gifts to get is a piece of writing from someone.
Yeah.
It just, it's because it's that person on paper. So,
I think, again, it's especially when you know the voice, right? You may not even know the heart completely. You may not know the spirit completely or totally, but it's something about the voice in the way that you've learned to know that voice. And I think writing a letter, or just a few lines,
and taking the time. It's like that person took that time to
Yeah.
write this down. Now, I will say I've got a couple letters that I've written that it's like, oh yeah, I've got to get stamps on those and mail them out because I'm really bad about that. So, I might have something dated from back in August, and I do, that I need to get in the mail. So it's coming. It's coming. But yeah,
Let me,
the little things.
yeah. Let me ask you because I don't believe teachers aren't made. Teachers are born. You are born a teacher. And you don't just say, oh, I'm just going to be a teacher. You don't,
Mhm.
anybody who says, I'm just going to go be a teacher ends up not becoming a teacher. You can't be. And so I've learned that teachers have a different perspective when it comes to somebody actually learning how to read or learning how comprehension really works, or even how a math problem formulates. All of those things become something different. So, how did you decide, or when did you decide I'm going to be an educator, and how does that look for you? Like being an educator, what's that feel like?
So yeah, that's a lot. I was 4 years old, watching Mr. Rogers.
Ah,
And I I don't recall the show. My mother keeps telling the story over and over again. She says, I went out to her and I said, I'm going to be a teacher. So, I mean, I knew ever since I was 4 years old, I would play school with my stuffed animals, with my little sister, my cousins, and everything. But then I had a roadblock because in high school, I had a guidance counselor tell me I wasn't smart enough to get into college. So I needed to be a secretary because that's what women did.
right.
So I believed that for a little while.
Yeah.
But then, I was out of college a year. Then I got to college and I was like, okay, I'm going to study elementary education. I got accepted and everything. But I went to school before I was ready to go to school. So I was going to a Bible college. I got caught going to a movie. I went with my mother. It was Yentl, and and I had a choice. And my consequence was to write this 5-page paper about why you shouldn't break rules or something. But anybody knows me, I like to break rules, teaching or not. So I was like, nah, I think it's time for me to get out of school for a while. So I ran with the band, did their spotlight, did the waitressing fast food thing. And I found myself as a single mom, and I decided, it's time to get back to school. And I went back to school, and that was the time I made all A's. I had a purpose. So my son's a whole reason that I got not into teaching, but that he pushed me to do
Mm,
better for myself so I could do better for him.
yeah.
And I got my degree and did that. And so the interesting thing is when this year, last probably September, October, I decided that was it. I've been in the classroom for too long. It's time for me to get out. And so I'm like, I'm going to go out to Washington. My sister lives out here, and which she's got a story of her own. I'm going to watch her house while she goes out exploring the country on her dirt bike.
Oh,
Um, yeah. So,
I
you
need
know,
her on the show.
got to live life. She's quitting her job. I'm going to do that. But when I got out here, I'm like, I'll be a Walmart greeter. It doesn't matter. But then, I'm having struggled looking for employment. So
Mm,
I'm door dashing, and I'm currently working at a tutoring center, not paying me very much at all. So it's that whole thing. But I realized I finally got paperwork into sub, and I subbed a couple days when they were open for hybrid. Everybody's back home again. And in the classroom, middle school's the age that just I connect with and I really love. But I found myself teaching third grade. So
mm,
I've subbed 3 times since I've been out here. Every single one of them has been in third grade. So that's made me notice. It's like, okay, open up myself to teaching other grades, because I realize I I'm in a new place in the middle of a pandemic where not much is open. It's difficult to meet people.
mhm,
So I was, I mean, I know I'm out here. I know regrets coming out, but I'm a people person, so I was struggling a little bit.
mhm.
But when I got in that classroom, there's, when you do something you really love and that passion comes out, and it's like, it just energizes you in a whole different way. It was then that I'm like, okay, I need to keep my eyes open again for teaching jobs. Now, I'm also looking at other things, whatever the age ranges, but I know I need to be working in people, and whether it's a teaching, advising, that kind of capacity, because it's what I love to do. And it's what I'm good at, so. And you're right. It's what teachers are born. I used to think, oh, no, but I've watched a lot of teachers over the year. And if you don't naturally love, and I say love, and I'm talking middle school too, because you can fake it with the other grades, I think a little bit easier.
Mhm.
But with middle school, if you don't love what you do and love those kids and where they're at developmentally, nah,
That
they
ain't
know it. They know it. You're not going to go anywhere. So,
my one of my goals is to have a facility for that focuses on middle schoolers and teaching them how to just teach them how to write so that they can begin to write,
yeah.
how emotionally they've been going through something. Because I always say this: middle school, everybody that can go back to middle school and can talk about an experience that was traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care
Yes,
who they
yes,
are
yes, yes.
from. And I think a lot of times that's when we start to compartmentalize those things that we don't want to face or don't know how to. It
Yeah,
starts
yeah.
in middle school. Now, some people starts earlier, but at some point, everyone does that at some point in middle school. And
Oh,
I think
absolutely. And they think they're the only one. They
that
think they're the only one going through it. So that was something I found myself repeatedly, you're not. You're not the only one being told you have to do your homework before you play your games or getting your phone taken away or whatever it is. So if you've got a middle schooler, for any of you listening, if you've got a middle schooler, please remind them they're not the only one when they're going through a difficult time and crying. And I learned a lot about what was on kids. I have kids that come to me anyway, and well after they're out of my classroom, they come and talk to me. And when I started doing spoken word in the classroom and our open mics, it was really and they had that freedom to write about whatever it was that was on their minds. Listen, these kids are talking about depression and suicide,
Mhm.
racism. They're talking about bullying type of things, family divorce, and that it's on their minds. If we're thinking about it, and then the poems that came from the pandemic were pretty cool also. So it's on their minds. They just need to have somebody to listen. And right now, I'm kind of curious as to, with them all home doing school, who's listening? And I don't know. When I was a kid, I didn't talk to my parents about those things that were on my mind.
Right.
So they've got, yeah, there's got to be somebody who's a bit older and wiser, whether, elder, whatever. I just keep thinking, but when you're going to a 14-year-old friend and talking to them about depression, they're like, they don't know. They don't know any better. And then, I don't know, sometimes they all start cutting together because it's not healthy. So I do hope that kids are out there finding somebody.
I think that parents will now, after the pandemic, right? Now that this pandemic is here, I think parents will now understand why educators need to be paid more.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be teaching my child and have to have a part-time job besides that.
Oh yeah. I worked 3 most of the time when I was
Yeah,
teaching.
that is fucking
Mhm.
ridiculous. And so I think now the argument, it should be from the parents. They should be arguing for that now because first of all, if you're a parent and you're working at home, you still can't give your kid what they need. And now your kid is suffering because they don't have a teacher. And these children are playing Fortnite in classes. I talk to teachers all the time.
Mhm.
Paying attention to shit.
Yeah.
They show up and they just there. And I think um, I'd like to see a platform where parents are actually fighting for that in government. In fact, AJ and we're going to start another show starting tomorrow evening, and we're going to be talking about those kind of topics and invite
Mhm.
political folks in the arena. We just going to have conversations about a lot of different things, but that is one of the main things I want on the forefront of the plate because we're voting for people that aren't doing the shit we need done, and that's one of the arguments we need to have. Teachers should not be
Mhm.
getting paid fucking pennies in scraps. Like,
Well,
no.
and I think it's bigger than that though, because when kids had to be homeschooled, I shouldn't say homeschooled, online schooled and stay at home to do the school, we weren't talking about kids missing their education. We weren't, that's not the conversation that was taking place throughout the United States. The conversation taking place was, how am I going to go to work? My kid needs to be in school so I can work. So the focus was more on babysitting
Right.
than it was on education. Um, and education, I've been doing this a long time,
Yeah.
and the value of education within a lot, and you know, you've got your families that will always value education, will make sure that their kids get taken care of and get the education they need. But if
Mhm.
you're looking at the middle and the lower economic portion of the people, there's a whole lot of people in there who are like, nah, you know, go play your Xbox, leave me alone. We
Yeah.
don't read anymore.
No.
We just, education is not as important. And I think I do believe education needs an overhaul. And after doing the hybrid model where I had 11 kids and one of those kids was off his meds for the first time,
Mm.
and I found this out later. I mean, he was squirrely, he was all over the place. And you know, I've had kids like that before, so it wasn't a big deal for me. But I'm thinking, if I had a group of 25 kids with this one kid, it wouldn't have been as successful of a day. So I really believe that we need to look at going to a hybrid model all the time,
Mhm.
because I don't have to deal with all the behavior management with 11 kids. I can get to know them each in a different way and do more individualized education and meet their needs.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen. I know some places are talking about going online full time and all the rest, but they need to be in school when it's safe and all that. They need that interaction with their peers. But at the same time, you know, teachers need to be able to teach and not say, yo, little Johnny, sit back down. Oh, come on, you're disrupting class again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's those years that is nothing but pure hell, that it's just like, oh my gosh, can I just get through this day?
Yeah.
And there's schools that are like that all the time. But I
Mhm.
think if we had smaller groups,
Yep.
we'd be able to get more education done.
I remember a time where the teacher had time to actually come to every student's desk and see if they were reading on the level they needed to. I remember sitting there, my teacher would bring a chair, sit right next to me, and she would
Mhm.
actually listen to you reading. And they don't have, I mean, they don't even allow you guys
Yeah.
time to do that shit now.
Well, and part of it is, you know, I've had some classes that I could do that easily, and I have done that with kids. But then there's other classes that they're not reading long enough for me to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So, it, well, reading is important. So there's a lot of focus put on reading currently in standards and what you're teaching in school. However, let's talk writing for a minute. Writing is no longer tested, and because writing's no longer tested, it's not pushed in the curriculum as much as it used to be. So when I started teaching, it was in Maine. Um, and part of our state assessment was a writing prompt.
Mm.
So one of the things I got to do as a teacher was go and score these writing prompts at a state level, which was, for me as a teacher, man, it was eye opening and it made me become a better teacher.
Mhm.
Um, but we're not testing it, and writing is like pushed to the side. So I was told, one of the things that kind of dampened my spirit my last year that I taught was, I did my open mics the year before were extremely successful. I had poets, you know, nationally known poets came in and spent the day in my classroom with
Mm.
these kids, people that looked like them. And I saw kids get excited about writing and all the rest. But I was told after that next year I couldn't do them as often, because I was like, let's take a look at what it's doing for these kids, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, nah, but what's it doing? What's it doing to get them ready for and the EOGs, the end of grade test? And I'm like, are you kidding? Are you? And we didn't even end up having the EOGs that year because of the
Oh,
pandemic. So, but I just like, really, really, because I know for some kids it made such a huge difference in their lives to know, oh, I can write. Other people feel like I do. Adults feel like, you mean that big dude over there that's all tatted up is he writes, you
right.
know? So Where does the money come from to pay for extra teachers? Sorry, I'm like reading your,
No, no, no.
your
That's what
questions online. So I don't think it's about money. And so that's always the first thing that's asked. But if we go to a hybrid model all the time, not in the middle of a pandemic, if kids are coming to school 3 days a week, then just staying home at 2, we know that parents can figure out how to do that in home piece. And while they're at home, they have specific assignments they need to do on those days to be held accountable. But I don't think it's about money. I think that we make it about money when that's not what it is. If we want to do something, we'll find a way. I mean, we do that with anything. Computers, all of a sudden we found all this money, and I know that the national level, the federal government helped us out with that. But every kid has a computer now, so that they can be doing school at home. So money's there for what's needed, and kids have computers now, so we can't say that's not a reason to go hybrid. So
I think, for me personally, I think, and I want to be clear. I think money's not the factor as far as that to make it be a situation to make sure it's done. But I do believe that money is a factor, because at the same time, we pay doctors good money.
Oh, absolutely.
And teaching a child how to read and write and comprehend and write letters and be able to communicate in this world. There's a reward in that. But who pays the one that's teaching? Who pays the one that's creating this roadmap? And I think we have a handcuff on teachers now. It doesn't allow them to do the shit that they could. And this is frustrating for me. And I say that because I'm going to start helping my nephew with some reading and stuff like that. I'm not a tutor. In fact, when I was in high school, when my teacher used to call me to the front of the classroom and I had to speak, I always used to stand like this. And my teacher told me, he said, you should be a teacher. He says, as a matter of fact, I see you teaching in front of crowds one day. I never thought I would be a spoken word artist. I never thought I'd be speaking in front of crowds. I never thought I'd be teaching children or adults. I never thought that. But this man saw that in me from that image. Yeah. And it's been a thing with me, like, why would I want to do something that's changing the world and nobody pays it any freaking mind? It's almost like I'm hiding, you know what I'm saying? I have to hide my greatness, because being a teacher, first of all, is not a freaking job. It is a career. It is a career. And you are actually changing the future with what you're doing. And I think you should be rewarded. You should be compensated for that. Like, I hate to see teachers wearing them damn jeans so much that the wallet faded in their pants because they don't have the money.
But I get it. That Goodwill shopping all the time. And it's like, oh, I have to pay, you're talking jeans, $50, $60, $80, $100 for a pair of jeans. Nah, it's not going to happen. Kids come in wearing sneakers worth more than what I spend on my wardrobe in a year. Not quite that, but you get the idea. I don't want to be, but I also think teachers go into teaching because they see value in it, and they see value in the kids, and they want to make a difference. Now, I'm going to ask everybody who's listening, please do not share the meme that's out there right now that says teachers don't go into it for the paycheck. Now, I'm going to call bullshit on that, because I want to support my family and myself. I'm not some martyr saying, oh, because I love this profession, don't give me money, don't give me what I'm worth. Nah. So I think we need to change our mindset on that. And we can appreciate teachers without spreading that fallacy out there, because I don't know a single teacher that wouldn't like to get paid what they're worth. So it's not about being in it for the heart. We are, but there's also a whole lot of teachers that don't stay in it, even though they have the heart, because they can't afford it. So
I'm gonna share this with you. I remember when my daughter was in grade school, and we looked up what the principal gets paid. And this principal was getting paid like freaking $80-something thousand. And I'm like, wait a minute. And the teachers are getting what? How much money? Like, they driving these raggedy ass cars and I'm not saying that her job wasn't, or what her work wasn't worth that. But I'm
Right.
just trying to figure out, like, how is the fucking scale so imbalanced? Like, she's doing some work, I get that, but who's in the fucking classroom? And then you're in the classroom, like I said, eating broccoli and broccoli spares and crackers and cheese, and she's having fucking Ruth Chris
Yeah.
delivered to her. I'm like, what are we doing?
I will say one of the things I really enjoyed about not this tutoring center I work at, I have a 2 to 3 hour lunch break every day, and then I go back in. But it's being able to have a leisurely lunch, being able to go to the bathroom when I need to go to the bathroom. Those are things that in North Carolina anyway, there was teachers eat with the kids. The day I was subbing, man, lunch, I had a half-hour lunch break all to myself down here. The kids went out for recess. I was not expected to be on duty. So, but here's the difference. North Carolina does not have a union.
That's it.
Washington State has a union.
That's it.
And it's the same thing when I taught in Maine, they had a union. So North Carolina, I don't know where most of your listening audience is, but North Carolina or probably other states without a union take advantage of their teachers in a very big way.
Exactly.
So,
Until I worked for U.S. Airways, when I worked for them, that's why I got disabled out from working there. I got hurt there. But before I worked for them, it was the first time I had a union job. That was the first time when you could sit there and be like, that shit's not in my contract.
Yeah.
And there's nothing they can say or do about it.
Yeah.
In fact, I was told there was a guy who, when you work, so I was a fleet service agent, which just means that we park the planes and we loaded the baggage.
Mm-hmm. You did this kind of thing going on?
Yeah, I was doing that thing.
Cool.
All of this stuff.
Those fancy flashlights.
Yeah, so there was a guy who had some he has some substance abuse going on in his life, and he was afraid that he would get caught. But I mean, he come to work plastered, and I was told that if something happens, he goes to his shop steward. A shop steward is like the person, your person in front of your union guy. That's the union person representative. If he goes to his union representative, even after he fucked up something, and he says, "Listen, I have a substance abuse issue," that he could not be fired from his job. And I realized then why North Carolina does not want to have unions, because they want to be able to do what they want to you, and that's it.
It's that control. It's power and control, or control and money. You know, if you look at it, that's what a lot of decisions are made for in our country. Yeah. Power and money.
I hate North Carolina for that stuff. Anyway, yeah. So, let's talk about some fun stuff, because I don't want you to have to be. I don't want you to live in that I'm a teacher roller coaster thingy right now. So because you got that every day, right? You get that.
Yeah.
So you drove. How long did it take you to drive from?
I took a month. So I've got the map behind me. I don't know how well you can see it, and you can see it dips down. Or I went from North Carolina down to Atlanta, where my brother is, and then I had a student of the past from Maine get in touch with me. She lives in Nashville now, and she says, "Are you going to go through Nashville? I want you to come see me." So I went out of my way to go up to Nashville to spend a couple days with her. From Nashville, I did Birmingham and Montgomery, which two amazing places if you've never been to go to. I'm going to look at my map because I'm like, where did I go after that? Then I went to New Orleans. I did a quick stop in Mobile to get some gas and proceeded to leave my purse there, and didn't discover that for a couple hours. So that, I mean, all my money. But anyway, that was sent to me a little bit later on. Stayed with my cousin in New Orleans. Now, keep in mind, everything is shut down because of the pandemic. So I went to some of these places because I wanted to hear music outside in the street. So naturally, I'm like, oh yeah, I could get music in the street. No. Well, I think we saw one. New Orleans, nothing. There was like no music going on. I'm like, man, I'm wandering around the French Quarter and everywhere all day, I'm so glad I went. It was a beautiful day to do it. I went to Lake Charles, which the place I stayed in Lake Charles has since been totally changed because of the hurricane that they had recently. So I'm like, where else did I go? Oh, then Texas, which was forever.
Yeah.
I planned on staying in Austin, another place reputed has a reputation for music, and no, there was nothing. But Austin was cool because the murals in Austin were just amazing. And I stayed at Airbnb at some of these places. I camped at some, every now and then a hotel in Austin. Somebody else was staying at the place, and we got along and just had a blast. So I stayed an extra couple days, and so we could go out and explore and do different stuff. But it was after Austin when I went into New Mexico. Carlsbad was my first national park, and from there I hit national parks as I could. I bought one of the national park passes, which, if you're a veteran, if you have not heard, you get a national park pass for free now.
Wow.
So I strongly recommend it, and go to national parks whenever you can, because they're pretty cool. But I hit the Grand Canyon. I hit, where else did I? My goodness. This is not White Sands. Phoenix, I spent a couple of days. I think I spent an extra day or two in Phoenix because a friend, I had put something out saying, do you know anybody in these states? I think this is going to be my route. I originally wasn't going to go to Phoenix, but when I heard, so my friend lives there, and she likes to cook and be able to do your laundry, so because I needed to be able to do that stuff as well. But then I'm like, yeah, I'll do it, because I, again, love meeting new people. But then we became Facebook friends, and I'm watching her Facebook page. I'm like, oh, she is like really dope people.
Wow.
So kindred spirits, So at some point when I get a job that's doing more than just paying the bills, I'm going to head out to Phoenix and go spend some more time with her. But I went to stayed in Mystic Hot Springs place it was a converted Pioneer wagon, stayed in that. Then I went to, I don't know if you've heard of Crater of the Moons National Park. It's in Idaho. It is super cool. So it's volcanic, rocks and everything everywhere. I didn't even know about it until, again, I was researching where can I go and entertainment for free. But it's got this whole different feel to it, because a lot of these places, like, you think Grand Canyon, Carlsbad, you've heard about them and the beauty that's there. But the beauty that was there with all this, I don't know, because of lava rock being black and all this basalt rock, there's not a lot of growth. But what there is, it's beautiful. It's just beautiful in a whole different way. So one of the things that I found even before I left on my trip in this pandemic is that I need to get out in nature every day, or as often as possible, because I started into a depression. Not that I saw it for that, because we don't see that for ourselves right away. But there came a day when I realized, man, I'm gaining weight because I'm just sitting around eating. I can't get out of my own way. I'm sad. So I started hiking around Umstead, and I live near Lake Johnson. So I was just in Raleigh. And it changed my whole demeanor. So on this trip and seeing everything, it's like, I know for me, I need to spend some time out in nature. So that's what I did. Mountain passes getting out here were no joke.
Mm-hmm.
I have a fear of heights. It's getting better, and I do things all the time that challenge it. But when I'm driving along this Columbia River is huge, so there was that. And then going through some of these mountain passes where it's like this, and these big 18-wheelers are coming by and everything. I'm like, I just pull on the side of the road, let everybody pass sometimes, because I'm taking my time and taking it slow. But since I've been out here, there is forest roads galore. And my sister's always, oh, let's go explore. And I'm like, okay, so Mount St. Helens is where we go a lot because it's right here. And she knows all these roads. Well, all these roads are like, I'm sitting in the passenger seat, these big old drop-offs beside me and everything. But then you get to this spot where you get out and you can see the mountain, or, you can see there's one spot we were at one place, we could see Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, and Mount Adams. And it's just so beautiful. The trees are huge. The sky is so blue. And I'm gonna put this out there for anybody. If you guys want to come out to Washington State, hit me up. I've got a place for you to stay, which is you can come stay with me and I'll take you exploring. Now, I won't drive you on those dirt roads unless I'm comfortable on them. So we might stick to some other places. And now that it started snowing in the mountains and there's a lot of snow, nope. I'm not driving on that.
First of all, I'm not coming out there unless it's summertime because I'm done with the cold.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's rainy season now, so it's a whole different experience. But yeah, come on out in the summer. I dream of having a poet retreat out here. So
Mm,
I know it'd be, you have to watch, it's expensive to get out here, but I'm like, man, if everybody comes out here, I would figure out a way to supply. Oh, definitely I've got a place for y'all to stay, but I'm like, I'd figure out a way to do the food for you, get around to different places, do some writing, just go. And these are big ass trees out here. I mean, big trees, mountains. We look at the mountains out back east, Appalachian Trail, man, they are tiny. And I never realized how tiny they were
until you
until
see
there's these big, massive things. And I'm looking at my new goal. So I set myself these huge goals. So like I ran a marathon a few years back. I have never ridden a dual sports bike until my sister's like, do you want to do the Washington Back Road Discovery Route on a dual sport bike? I'm like, yeah, sure. I ride a motorcycle. How difficult can it be? Well, let me tell you, I forgot about this discovery routes in the mountains. And I'm going to be riding on the edge of cliffs sometimes. And there's these logging operations going on. So these logging trucks are going to be coming by. But I say all that to say I did it. And I look at it now and I can't believe I did it. So I want to climb a mountain of substance. I don't know that I want to do one with a glacier at the top. But that's what I'm currently setting my sights on to get ready for. So
I'm from New York City.
so you got to come out here then.
I'm not climbing nobody's damn mountain. Now listen, I love going to the mountains. I even love going to mountains when it's snowing, when it's the wintertime.
It's beautiful, yeah.
You got a nice view and you can look out your window and you can see all the snow and all. I love that. But I'm going to be inside looking at that shit. I'm not climbing nobody's damn mountain. I'm just.
Oh, that's cool. So one of the other places is the Olympic National Forest, which is on the peninsula of Washington. And the Olympic Mountains are out there, but it is beautiful out there because you've got beach and then you've got this rainforest. And who knew there was rainforest? See, I see your face. Now, if you go, was a few weeks ago, when did I go? I check. You'll have to check. I think it was Labor Day weekend I went. But it's called the Hoh Rainforest. So I, said I was walking among the hoes that weekend. But it is absolutely beautiful. And so it might be something that a New York boy would appreciate and enjoy. So it's, and then there's the beach, like right down the road. And they have these big haystack rocks, unlike anything I'd ever seen before. Cause I grew up right on the rocky coast of Maine.
Okay.
So to see the difference and to see I keep referring to it as nature's art gallery. It's just absolutely beautiful. The Grand Canyon, yeah, it's beautiful, awe-inspiring. But at the same time, I was ready to go after a little while. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go.
Gotcha.
But then when I started driving through the Painted Desert, man, I could have done that all day long. It's just the colors of the rocks are just beautiful. And then you stop and you watch a sunset, and the sunset is pretty, yeah. But if you turn and look the other way and see the sun reflecting off these rocks, Sedona was one of my favorite places to go to. Thanks to the pandemic, there weren't a lot of people because I know Sedona now is getting overrun. Salt Lake City, I went to, it was Antelope Park there, and that lake is like glass and it just goes on and on and on. It's huge. So we have so many gems and beautiful places within our own country that even within your own area. Cause I know, you're out in,
Charlotte.
You're in Charlotte. So I never went and explored Charlotte. So, cause I lived in Raleigh.
Out here, but bankers.
See, okay. So I'm going to be sending you some places that you should go. Okay. Atlas Obscura has, if you go to atlasobscura.com, I think it is, and you put in where you want to go and explore, they have these cool, funky ass things that are around in your area to go to. And right. I mean, there's places you can drive to that are within an hour. The Kindred Spirit mailbox that you're talking about, I found out about that through Atlas Obscura. So wow. I'm always researching where are these places that I can go. You don't need to have a lot of money. You might need to have somebody with a car, you or somebody else, but it's, there's these places that you can go explore and go enjoy. And sometimes it's out in nature and requires a hike. sometimes it's just this really crazy landmark that's there, and it's a photo app, and then you're somewhere different, and hey, I never noticed this before, and there's so much beauty and fun and adventure around us all over the place.
Just take me to a winery. I'm good.
That too,
You
yeah.
go to a vineyard and I'm good. Give me a vineyard. I'm all in.
Yeah, those are fun too. Yeah.
And so
There's
I went to Southwestern College, which is, I want to say, it's about 4 or 5 miles from Western Carolina.
okay.
And so Western Carolina's played against Asheville.
Hmm.
Not what is it? Is it Asheville? No, what is it?
Mhm.
Oh gosh. Anyway, we drove from Western Carolina to that whatever. It's not Asheville. I'm saying it wrong.
Is it the Boone one?
One and Boone. Yeah,
Appalachian State?
App State. There you go.
Mhm.
So we drove from Western to App State for a big game. And I'm telling you, they was like, oh, it's going to take you this long to get there. I'm like, no fucking way. But you're going through the mountains.
Yes.
You can
Yes.
only drive 15 miles an hour.
Yes.
And if you're not driving 15 miles an hour, you're dead.
Uh-huh.
You're dead.
When I had my motorcycle, I used to go up there on my motorcycle, and it was great. I mean, a lot of bikes are up there, and it's great riding. So that's what. But yeah, those mountain passes are like, oh my gosh, no, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I'm thinking I'm in one of those mountain houses, right? And then there's a snake or some shit that comes in my house. I'm probably going to jump off the cliff. I'm going to be dead. Like, it ain't going to work.
There is. You need to have it hermetically sealed. Just.
I mean, the light will be on. I'll still have a flashlight looking for snakes and shit.
Yeah, yeah, it's like,
Yeah. But I do enjoy seeing, like, so I know you have to have tons of pictures.
I do.
And so I do. So here's what I'm going to say. I do some of my workshops I do based off of pictures.
Oh.
So I definitely, we need to have a
Yeah, because I will share what I've got. And I posted a lot of my really good ones. So if you look between July, when did I leave? July 14th to August 12th. If you can, I don't know if you can go into my timeline that way, but if you can, that's where a lot of the pictures are. So if you see something you like, feel free to snag it. And if you wouldn't mind, because again, I love writing. Writing's like my thing. If you would send me, like, if people would be willing to share some of what they wrote, or the other thing I would see, you're making this is my teacher brain working here. I'm like, oh, I want people's writings. I want to do like digital storytelling, people's writings behind my pictures, and put it together in some sort of multimedia presentation. How cool would that be?
You know what you can do? Start a private Facebook page.
Okay.
Private, and then we can invite you. I've had tons of poets in my masterclass that are beginning publishers. They begin to start publishing and stuff, and we can get a bunch of writers to come in.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Because it would be so interesting to see how somebody else interprets, or how we all interpret the similar picture. Now, being there, might interpret it differently. That experience is always different than that photo, but sometimes not. So yeah, we'll definitely get together and do that.
They're asking for your IG. What's your IG?
Mandy with an IEV1. Now I tend to do more on Facebook than I do on IG, and that's Mandy Robertson. But I've been trying to put more on IG lately. I think the most recent picture is me in a green hoodie that says "Women are meant to be tamed, not hidden," or something like that. Ed Mabry. I'm in this one. Ed Mabry makes he's a poet, and he does clothing. So
did I spell it right?
I mean, yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd be happy to do, I don't know, whatever. My gift is I talk about spoken word a lot, and I do write and I do perform, but my gift is more about working with other people and and mostly kids. That's where my experience comes in. So if anybody's interested in how to start an open mic in their classroom, even virtually, because even when we went virtual, I was able to have poets from California and Florida, I think, came in with the kids. So poets want to do this. They want to get at work with the kids. They want to get in the classroom. So,
Yeah, yeah. I have I'm glad that you said that because I have a few things that we'll talk about offline.
okay.
There are a lot of the people who follow me now are friends of mine, and they I'm sure they're excited about this, especially those who have been in my one of my workshops because I love there's so much from pictures and artwork that we
Oh,
miss.
yeah.
And when
Yeah.
people take time to really, because I used to be like, that art is so freaking ugly. But
Yeah.
then when you look at what it is and the textures and how the colors blend and it speaks to you differently.
Hmm.
And I take
Hmm.
during on that journey in some of my workshops. This is why they love them. But I think that's something golden that you just thought about. So yeah, we
Yeah. And even having kids could be part of that and do a book with that. But we've been mentioning art and stuff a lot. I want to also mention something else. So I collect rocks. Now I don't personally pick them up, but I've got rocks from all over the world. About 15 years ago, I had a student say to me, I was teaching in Colorado and he was going somewhere on vacation. He said, "You want me to bring you back something?" And I'm thinking, just bring me back a rock, just off, and so he brought me back this really cool rock. So that became anybody can pick up a rock. It doesn't cost anything. But I started telling my friends that same thing. So I've got a rock from Stonehenge, a rock from the bottom of the Louvre, all over the place. And I picked up a few on my way over. But all that to say that I think that's going to be one of my next writing things that I do is just about rocks. And so I have all these pieces of places all around the world sitting in my house. I could figure out a way to display them.
yeah,
But what is it that we each do, whether it's something we collect or what speaks to us, just different ways and different things to write about. And yeah, so again, teacher mind is always thinking about, oh, how can I use this with the kids to get them interested and excited about whatever it is. And of course it'll work for some, and many will be like,
yeah.
nope, rocks aren't my thing, and that's okay. And that's okay. Then, music is another one of those things like art. What music is art.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
So we got like 8 minutes left. So is there anything you'd like to say or leave the people with? It could be about anything. It could be about nothing. Just whatever you like.
um yeah, do it. Do something that scares you. Do some, and I'm not going to say it's easy. I've been out here since August. What are we in December now? Oh, it's my birthday month, by the way. So,
When's your birthday?
December 20th. So I celebrate every day. This being on your show today is my gift for today. And my gifts that I do to me, to the world, whatever, they're little things and they're not typically monetary, but I tend to notice things in a different way and invite other people to do the same. Um, let's see, what else would I leave you all with? Yeah, just go. So I've been out here since August. I have been hustling. My savings is pretty much depleted. Doing some hustling of money, having a job that, teaching, even though it doesn't, I've been teaching for a long time. So teaching as a rule doesn't pay much, but I'm making a whole lot less than when I was in the classroom right now. And it's just, and I'm learning how to appreciate what I do have as far as, okay, I can pay my bills. I've got my sister, currently it's like, you've got a place to live. Thank you, Mystical. She's happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sad. But just do it, do it. And do it go into it with, this is going to be wonderful. Because if we go, okay, I might as well do this. Mandy said I should, do something that scares me. I'm going to go stand on the edge of a cliff. That would be me. I'm scared to death. Okay, I say edge. I'd be back like 20 feet, 30 feet. That's as far as I go. But in the meantime, my stomach is going like this. It's like, yeah, nah. But and I was always that kid growing up that if you were to tell me I would be that would have a motorcycle license and a motorcycle, I'd be like, nah. I know I read, I was a bookworm.
Mm,
But yeah, now I can ride a motorcycle.
yeah.
I got into running for a long time to get back. And I never saw myself as a jock. I played sports, but I was never that jock. So spoken word, the same thing. Now teaching, yeah, I've always seen myself as a teacher. That was easy.
Mhm.
So when we expand and do things that we have an interest in, We never thought we could do it, which is that right now, that's what that's mountain is to me. It's like, okay, I'm going to be doing a bunch. I've got to train for it.
Yeah.
You know, I want to get into backpacking. I've never done that. I can go on a 10, 15-mile hike, but to go on that 10 to 15-mile hike with a pack on my back and spend the night, get up and go do it again, knowing there's bears and cougars and everything out there, I just don't know. But I'm going to do it.
No. Call my ass when you get back home.
I'll show you the pictures. You can do your writing workshops. But I don't know. I cannot even explain to you these lakes out here. Oh my gosh, they're like this blue green that I have never seen before. The mountains with this, it's just so beautiful. Some of them you can't get to without hiking. So it's like, I've got to go experience this. I've got to go experience it. So
all I'm saying is, if I'm hiking with some folks, somebody better be strapped, and it better be me. Because
well, yeah, I will say, when I go on these, I've been on a couple hikes by myself out here when I've gone exploring up in the Olympic National Forest. And I'm on this one hike that was like 4 to 5 miles. I don't know. Looks like I'm going through something out of The Hobbit. I've never seen the movie, but I've seen the pictures. And it's just kind of like, all of a sudden it comes into my mind, oh yeah, people are talking about bears out here.
Yeah.
I can do bear spray. You know, I'm not strapped. People keep telling me I should get a gun, and I'm like, I wouldn't even know what to do with it.
If that bear be on your ass, you'll figure it out, though. I'll tell you that much.
And let me tell you, bear meat, that's some pretty good stuff. And I keep being told, because I tend to, if I see something, I go off on the side and go explore it. And I keep being told, do not go off the path here. That's how people get lost and die. So I, you know,
I asked her to walk right off the path because I thought it was something up there gonna bite me and be lost. A bear be chewing on me. How you made it, huh? Dark meat today, goddamn it.
right. Well, you know, it's yeah. There was the guy in Utah. I don't know if the viral video that was going around about the cougar that was like trying to attack him because he was near his kitten and he got away. But I'm like, I don't even know what I would do in that situation. So because of him, I need to say thank you to him. Now I know what to do if I ever run across a cougar in my path. So still need to figure out what to do with a bear. I hear bear spray just pisses them off.
I know what to do. Don't go.
cannot let something like that keep you all hemmed in.
Listen, when people shooting crazy in the streets, I can handle that. I know what to do. When somebody getting jumped, I know what to do. Right?
I'd be like, I've been looking at somebody, I'd be going, what you doing? No, personality.
Rattlesnakes and cougars. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm gonna pee my pants and just be eating that day.
Yeah, I will say, I grew up in Maine. We have nothing poisonous up in Maine. Mm-hmm. So then I moved to Colorado and I hear about scorpions and tarantulas and rattlesnakes. And I didn't do really any hiking when I was there. North Carolina, you know, we've got the copperheads and whatever. So out here, I don't have to worry about any of that poisonous stuff. It's just the bears and the cougars.
Damn, that's too much. That's too much.
Oh, and there's a huge, because I'm on the I-5 corridor, there's a huge homeless population with drugs and whatever as well. So it's, I wonder, see, here I go again. My mind's working. It's like, oh, I wonder if the homeless population without the drugs, because drugs is a whole different story. I don't really know quite how to work with that, but there's writing to be done with those populations.
I'm gonna tell you something about that anyway. I gotta close the show out because it's a show that comes on right after me. So hold tight and close it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank y'all for tuning in with my friend Mandy. This year, man, I told y'all already what it's gonna be. So as always, I challenge you today to be a better you than you was yesterday. You have the capability to be amazing. So go out and do it, because nobody can be the amazing you that you are. Make sure you find a reason to love yourself today. Fall in love with you and love you so that it spills out, and this world will learn how to love you. Thank y'all for tuning in, and I will see y'all again tomorrow morning. Peace and love. Mandy, you hold on.